Good morning and welcome to this discussion on a key topic of intercultural communication. Today, we're going to talk about the differences between translators and interpreters and the skills needed to work as an interpreter. We will also analyze whether being a translator make easier to perform the profession, which is more important if technical or emotional skills. My name is Cecia, and today with my teammates Rebecca, Karin, Mario, and Jose, we will reflect on how these disciplines help build bridges between cultures and people. Currently, we know that in a globalized world, these professions are essential for connecting cultures, companies, and people. So now we are going to start with the first question. What are the differences between translator and interpreter? Because we know that both work with languages, but what distinguish them in a professional practice?
A translator works with written texts that can be lengthy. Therefore, they must take their time to research, review, and refine their work. In addition, the translator must have a broad knowledge of the terminology required by the document so that the translation sounds natural.
Okay. An interpreter is responsible for translating spoken messages from one language into another, which involves much more than simple speaking to two languages fluently, as they must also convey the speaker's style and tone while keeping in mind the cultural, dialect, and contextual differences.
Okay, thank you for your definition, but just to provide more information, could each party give us examples of these functions and how the attitudes of each professional differ, please?
Translators work with a variety of documents, some of which fall under legal translation, such as legal contracts or public deeds. In the case of general translation, some examples include novels, technical manuals, digital content localization, dubbing, and subtitling. A translator must have several attitudes in order to carry out their work in the best possible way. They should have a habit of research, excellent writing skills in the target language, attention to detail, critical thinking, cultural flexibility, and the ability to adapt to technology.
Interpreters work in settings such as international conferences, courtrooms, hospitals, government institutions, and professional events in many fields, and even in remote working for different purposes.
And also, among the interpreter's attitude, the most essential qualities are good memory, which I think that is the fundamental, strong language knowledge to manage shifts in language register, and a high level of concentration. Science interpreters must analyze information carefully to avoid problems to conveying the message in the target language.
Okay, thank you for that useful information. Now we know that people are not familiar with the field of translation and interpreting, and it is very common that they ask the following question. Aren't they basically the same, except that interpreter speaks and the translator write? What do you think about it?
They cannot be considered the same because both the skills and the process are different. And a key feature is that the translator's work is organized into projects that can last hours, days, or weeks, depending on the length and especially of the assignment.
Absolutely not. They are not same, even if both work with languages, since interpreting does not simply consist of speaking. It involves processing the message in real time and understanding it and conveying it with seconds while applying the skills mentioned earlier.
Okay, thank you. Now we understand that translation and interpreting are vital for multicultural understanding, not just word transfer. For example, we can See institutions like the United Nations depend of them to conduct debates and reach agreements in multiple languages. This raises the following question. Does being a translator make it easier to become an interpreter, or are they completely different disciplines?
From our perspective, experience in translation can significantly facilitate the work of interpreting. Translators develop a deep knowledge of vocabulary, idiomatic expressions, and linguistic structure, which provides a strong foundation for rapid and accurate comprehension. Their training in text analysis and in identifying cultural equivalences also strengthens their ability to convey meaning faithfully. Moreover, sustaining intercultural understandings enables them to navigate nuances and context effectively in live communication settings.
Okay, thank you. That's very interesting. Now let's hear the opposite view, please.
Um, Being a translator does not necessarily make it easier to become an interpreter because they involve different tasks and objectives. One focuses on producing precise and well-structured writing text, while other centers on conveying spoken messages immediately. So therefore, although both are related to languages, but they are not the same processes.
Okay, thank you. So we can say that being a translator provides a solid foundation, but does not guarantee a success as an interpreter. And that although they are not identical disciplines, they are complementary. So the following question is, if you are already a translator, does not have an automatic advantage when it comes to interpreting.
There is indeed an initial advantage, but it cannot be considered automatic. Translation provides a solid foundation due to linguistic and terminological training. However, interpreting requires a specific training on top of that foundation, as it demands additional skills that are not necessarily practiced in written translation.
The word automatic implies that success in interpreting will be a direct consequence of being a translator, and that is not correct. A translator may have great accuracy in writing, but may still face mental blocks, nervousness, or difficulty reformulating ideas orally under pressure.
Okay, thank you for your clarification. So we could say that, for example, a translator can work in a written version of an international treaty, while an interpreter must convey to message live. Both have a foundation in language, but they need different and a specific skill to perform each profession. With this in mind, we will finally move on to the next question. What is more important for an interpreter? Technical skills or emotional skills? Go ahead, please.
Technical skills are more important for an interpreter because accuracy and clarity are the foundation of effective communication. Strong language proficiency, advanced grammar knowledge, precise vocabulary control, excellent listening skills, fast cognitive processing, and accurate note-taking ensure the message is transferred correctly. Without these core abilities, even strong emotional awarenesses cannot prevent misunderstandings or errors that may distort the speaker's intended meaning.
I think that emotional factors are more important. And why? Because emotional skills have an equal or even greater impact in the real practice of interpreting, like the stress management, empathy, and communication skills. Also, nervous interpreter can affect the interaction. Anxiety can block memory. The pressure can affect the clarity of speech.
Okay, so both technical and emotional skills are essential for an interpreter. Technical skills ensure accuracy, while emotional skills provide fluency and confidence and humanity. The ideal interpreter balances both. Since technical, we can say that technical skills are the skeleton of the job and emotional skills are the soul. This leads to the last question, that is, which matters more, memory and accuracy or emotional control?
Interpreters must remain information, identify main ideas, remember figures, names, and specific terminology, and reproduce everything accurately in another language. Without an efficient working memory, the message becomes fragmented, imprecise, and distorted. That is why memory and accuracy are so important in interpreting.
We argue that emotional control carries more weight because it's what allows memory and accuracy to function under pressure. In real practice, interpreters face constant stress. If interpreters lose emotional control, their memory can freeze and the accuracy of the message could suffer.
Okay, thank you. So I can say that the debate highlight that translators and interpreters fulfill distinct yet complementary roles. While translation can provide an useful foundation for interpreting, it cannot replace especially training. Both technical and emotional skills are indispensable, and the true challenge lies in balancing them. This concludes our discussion, but finally, I would like to thank each participant for their contributions and you for your attention. Have a great day.